Today we're going to be going through a bunch of Minecraft texture packs that have already made the jump to 1.18. If you do want to go on to enjoy this video and want to see more content along these lines, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe down below. Either way, let's begin. The first texture pack of today is a texture pack known as the STONEBORN Dwarven Fantasy Inspired UI Overhaul. I'm pretty sure that gives you the self-explanatories of what the basis and idea of this one is. It doesn't really change too many of the actual textures of Minecraft itself. All it does is give a massive UI overhaul that makes it give it more of a fantasy theme to the Minecraft UI. Overall, pretty simple, pretty minimal change. Moving on, we've got compliance 64 times. Now basically in texture packs you can have many different variations of it. You can have the typical 16 by 16 types, or your 32 by 32 types, 64 by 64 types, etc, etc. Basically each type is more higher in the actual quality and definition that the texture pack will get rendered at. Compliance 64 is kind of like in a similar vein to Faithless, where it's just a mostly vanilla-esque texture pack that's got slightly tweaked designs as well as more enhanced textures just to make them look a little bit better than the default. Moving on, we've got the new default plus texture pack. Now if you ever wanted to have an ultimate customization about everything to do with your game, this is ultimately a really good texture pack for you. Taking advantage of what Optifine brings to the table, new default plus takes advantage of the abilities of renaming things in anvils and giving them different textures based upon whatever you name them. Pretty much giving you the ability to make custom swords, axes, pickaxes, shovels, hoes, shields, bows, crossbows, armor sets, elytras, and so much more, that ultimately just allows for a whole next level of customization to the looks of your own Minecraft character using just default Minecraft itself with a bit of Optifine and a texture pack. Another texture pack that takes advantage of Optifine and uses it to create some really cool custom textures is the Better Dogs texture pack. This basically allows you to have a good collection of different breeds and varieties of dogs that you can change by just renaming your actual breedable dog into various different names in an anvil with a user and a name tag. Basically this gives you many different custom variations from just a few different variations of wolves, some Australian shepherds, beagle, Burmese mountain dog, and so much more different types of dogs that you can get using this texture pack with over 30 new dog breeds and 100 new textures. Moving on from the Optifine dependent texture packs, we move on to a texture pack known as Faithless. Now the idea behind this texture pack aims to help all types of color blindness, including full monochromacy. Basically the idea behind this texture pack is to give every single individual item its own unique look that will stand out in between any other items, so you have no items that look the same with their texture whatsoever. This in turn has given this game a whole new look, being everything's being designed by an RPG layout and standpoint, ultimately leading to a beautiful texture pack that even if you don't need it because you're not colorblind, it's a beautiful texture pack nevertheless that might add to a different aesthetic to Minecraft if you want to try it out. The next texture pack of which is Carl's Grimdark armor. Now this is a texture pack that I've shown off and talked about on this channel before a few months ago for 1.17, and this is an armor texture pack that I've kind of used a lot on myself and a lot of different thumbnails and ideas along those lines in many different videos, and ultimately the idea behind this texture pack is to add in not only a few new textures to the dyes, but also a bunch of new textures to the armor that can add some pretty cool uniqueness towards the armor itself. And of course, using the same thing as what a few other mods have done with using Optifine, you can rename them to either heavy, light, or crown if it's an armor helmet to get some different variations of said armor to get it look different dependent on what you want to choose, or you can stick with the default look that it comes with. Ultimately a really good texture pack if you want to have some cool custom armor that doesn't actually affect anything else in the Minecraft game. Moving on, we've got this texture pack known as 𝓵𝓷𝓷𝓴𝓼. The idea behind this one is just to give everything a 3D-esque look, such as adding a 3D effect to rails and many other blocks. Ultimately just gives a whole new level of texture towards your world, making it just pop out a little bit more than what it was beforehand. This also does add some little bit of tweaks and changes to things such as the trident and stuff along those lines, as well as a full-on UI change and tweak that's themed after the Minecraft dungeons. Overall, it's just an interesting, cool little bit of a texture pack that just changes the aesthetics of Minecraft just by a little bit. Next, we have a texture pack known as Tiny Pixels. Now, I'm pretty sure that you may have seen a texture pack like this before, especially a few years ago, as this one's been around for quite a while, or different ones in stylistic choices such as these ones have been around for quite a while. Overall, the idea of this is to keep the vanilla style with vibrant colors and smooth textures, but ultimately takes a bit of a stray away because of the fact that, well, overall, there's less pixel densities and changes in amongst the actual textures itself. This does make for a very different style of look overall when it comes to Minecraft, but it's ultimately a fun way to revamp the style style of Minecraft if you feel like taking away some extra pixels and just having a bit more of a laid-back aesthetic to Minecraft, so the least. Matching the theme of the first texture pack of today, we also have the STONEBORN and fantasy-inspired gear overhaul. At the start of the video, I did show off the UI variant of this, but this has also got a gear overhaul variant as well, with a lot less downloads, and ultimately it just gives a bit of a revamp to all the weapons, armor, and the elytra as well, just giving it a little bit of a changes to make it look just a little bit different. Next, we have Default Rebuild. Default Rebuild is kind of like another one of those texture packs that build off of the vanilla design and just make some little tweaks and changes here and there to make it just a little bit different with its own like unique style to the actual textures itself. This is another one of those texture packs that does take advantage of some features from Optifine, but it isn't exactly necessary to have Optifine. You just want to get some of these special features such as variations in how mobs spawn. For example, the tone of the villager skins will change and be darker or lighter depending on what biome they spawn into. And then another really cool, more interesting one is that mobs spawn below what -Y30 spawn as shulk creatures instead, except for spiders, which change to cave spiders. Ultimately just giving that a little bit more of an immersive, in-depth immersive to when you go deep underground. You have these more spooky creatures that aren't going to stand out immediately in the dark because they're no longer bright colors. They're more darker and blend in with their surroundings, and so many other little cool little bits and pieces such as that. Next, we have a texture pack known as Brickcraft, and the idea behind this one is to pretty much turn Minecraft into what looks to be of a more of a Lego aesthetic to the actual style of textures, giving us the beautiful little pegs that pop up out of the actual ground that Lego would normally contain, as well as all the other little beautiful bits and pieces of changes that just give everything in Minecraft a Lego aesthetic, including the mobs and so many other bits and pieces along those lines. Ultimately, if you want to play around with Lego Minecraft but in a game, this is a cool way to do it. It looks really cool, but it is a bit of a higher quality one that does tank a bit on your PC if you're not careful. Next, we have Fantasy Plus. The idea behind this one is, well, very self-explanatory. It's meant to be a fantasy-based texture pack, but it's more of a retro-style medieval pixel pack that's basically fantasy styling. You get it. It's very simple to think about there. Ultimately, it's a really cool looking one overall. It adds a little bit of a uniqueness to Minecraft. You just want to experience it with slightly different quirks and things along those lines. Optifine's already released their first proper version of Optifine for 1.18 already, and the basically reason why it's been so quick for all the things jumping over to 1.18 is because 1.18 did not add anything new. All it did was just change generation drastically. Aside from generation changes, no new blocks were added, no new mobs, no new anything along those lines was added, making it easier for things to transition from 1.17 to 1.18. Either way, if you did enjoy this video, make sure to check out this video on screen now where we go through some more mods that you might not have seen already for version 1.18. Either way, until next time guys, goodbye.